Welcome to Home of Rome.
I'm Mel.
And I'm Jay. And this is Benny.
Given the current pandemic situation, we recognize that a lot of people might be facing some financial challenges. So we thought it would be helpful to share some of our frugal living tips to help them get by. Jason is the financial guru of our family. So without further ado, take it away, honey.
Thanks.
Come on, baby.
You can take the kitten. Oh. Good job.
Yes.
So I think first things first, we want to define a couple terms. A term you may or may not have heard of is a digital nomad. So what's a digital nomad? Well, this is someone who really enjoys traveling and has the great fortune to have a job or work that they can do that can be done just using the internet. One example would be just a remote worker at a large or small company. Another example would be someone who's retired or semi-retired. Freelancers, so people that do graphic design or programming, anyone who is not limited to a specific geographical location to be able to do their work. So the next term I'd like to define is FIRE, and it's an acronym for Financial Independence, Retire Early. So that's quite a mouthful, but there's a massive community of people on the internet that follow this sort of style, this philosophy of living. We certainly are interested in this, but we are not financially independent, nor are we retiring early. We're considering ourselves sort of semi-retired, but still working and still earning some income. But there's a lot to be learned from this community, especially striving towards financial independence. So there's a number of steps that have kind of been defined in the FIRE community that actually make really good guidelines just in terms of financial planning and, of course, frugality. Another important term that comes up when we're talking about finance and frugality and FIRE is something called net worth. Might sound a bit complicated, but it's actually really simple. It is just your assets minus your liabilities. Basically, what you own versus what you owe. Your assets include things like, your house if you own your house, your car, investments, the money in your bank account, anything that you own, even just, electronics, computers, that counts as an asset, and you just add up the value of all those things, and that is one side of the equation. Then you get onto your liabilities. That's basically anything that you owe. So any outstanding amount on your mortgage, car loans, credit cards, etc., etc. To find out your net worth, you just take all of your assets and subtract your liabilities. Super simple, right? So another really critical term that you should have in mind when you're thinking about finance is that of a budget. And I think most people understand the concept of a budget. Again, it's fairly simple. It is just your income minus your expenses for a given time period. Think about how much money you make from all of the potential sources. If you have a full-time job or a couple part-time jobs, if you have investment income or a pension or anything like that, that's all on your income side. And then, of course, the fun part is your expenses, all of the things that you need to live, and of course all of the things that you just like and enjoy. Add those things up and hopefully your income is at least equal to your expenses, if not slightly greater, so you can put some savings away. If your expenses are greater than your income for long enough, then you're going to be in trouble. So that takes us back to FIRE, or financial independence. So what's the concept there? Most of your income generating assets are supposed to be what's called passive. But I'll share with you a little secret. There's actually no such thing as passive income. No matter what you do, there's always going to be some amount of work involved. The closest thing to passive income would be something like a GIC, where you just buy it once and it generates money for you for the length of the GIC. But even that, I mean, you have to open up an account, you have to actually buy it. There's some amount of upfront work involved. Not a lot, but some. Other forms of passive income sort of go up from there in terms of the amount of investment and work that you need up front. But the idea is that if you invest enough time and effort up front in your passive income endeavors, the less work you're going to have to do later on, and you can make money while you sleep. Now, there's various levels of risk involved with the different types of income generating assets, but the main thing that you need to understand right now is that essentially your rate of return needs to be greater than your expenses plus inflation. If you have monthly expenses, let's say of $3,000 a month, then all of the money that you generate in your passive income endeavors needs to be not only $3,000 a month or greater, but it also needs to grow at least the rate of inflation. Because you have to remember that every year inflation is decreasing the value of your money. So if you just have $3,000 sitting in a bank account that's not earning any interest, you're actually losing money. You're losing anywhere from like 2 to 3% a year right now, because that's the approximate annual rate of inflation. So if you want to keep the value of that money, it needs to be generating at least 2 to 3% of interest or growth. Well, that was your quick introduction to financial independence. Next up is all about expenses and how to keep them in check.
Given the okay, let's try that again.
Passive. Now, I'll give you a little All right. Oh, and one final quick thing. Be sure to sign up for our mailing list on homarome.com, and we'll send you a PDF summarizing all of this information.